Today's topic is shadow IT, and I'm very lucky to be joined by three C-suite beasts, let's call them that for want of a better word, three very experienced gentlemen to talk about the topic of shadow IT. And let's hear from them to get some introductions done. First of all, Dave Roberts. Dave, if I can ask you to do a quick intro on you, your role and the company.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. Great to be here. So yeah, Dave Roberts. I'm the Global IT Director for Stantec. We're a global AEC engineering, design and architecture business, headquartered out of Edmonton in Canada.
Brilliant. Thanks, Dave. Mike Culshaw. Mike,
Hi,
good morning.
I'm Mike Culshaw. I'm the CTO at Pen & Co Foundation Trust, responsible for infrastructure, cyber and user pain.
User pain. Ed Hutz, good morning to you.
Hello, I'm the Group Chief Information Officer for Impellum Group Limited, which is a global staffing and recruitment business headquartered out of London, operating in the English-speaking world of US, UK, Australia, and a few bits in between.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you, gentlemen. So into shadow IT, and I'm going to give a quick definition. I'm sure everybody will have their own, but I'm defining it as shadow IT is IT systems, equipment, and people that are deployed and supported by business departments without the knowledge or agreement or standards necessarily of the central IT department and IT security group. So a long-winded way of saying they're not actually controlled by the central IT group. Now, I think that we know that can cause problems in some ways. It might have benefits in others, but certainly it can mean that you're doubling up on costs. It can increase risk, maybe some inconsistency, and certainly in terms of controls. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Less of me and more of the gents. So if I can come to you first, Mike, have you come across shadow IT developing before? How did you become aware of it?
So yeah, I have the shadow IT problem, as I call it. And I was blissfully unaware of it until about probably 8-9 months ago when we put in some different tooling, and that tooling has been quite shocking as to the levels of shadow IT that it's gone and found. So I think if you'd have asked me this question 8-9 months ago, I'd have said perhaps 200-300 bits of shadow IT would have existed without me knowing about it. Now that I've got the proof in the pudding, it's close to 2,000.
Wow.
Because people can just go onto the internet now and subscribe to anything or put a plugin into a browser, and they don't even realize they've done it.
So is this mostly kit that we're talking about? Mostly?
No,
IT?
it's services online. It's online services where they don't need to come to you for you to do any enablement. They don't need admin rights to do any of this stuff, and they can get. I don't think it's done maliciously. I think it's they just don't understand the risk that they cause to the trust or to a business by going doing these things.
Okay.
You know, like
sorry. I was going to move it on to the other guys and see.
All right, sorry.
It's interesting that you've definitely experienced it. Ed, what about you?
Well, yeah, I mean, throughout my career, I have been fully aware it exists. Some of the time, I've not been aware of what it is. In this particular cycle, I'm 5 years into this role now. I started off at the beginning with a very simple premise, which was the business in general will want to buy stuff and they will want to do stuff that isn't directly in our control. And rather than me saying that's a bad thing, I said there is no shadow IT because we openly welcome the fact that you want to do stuff with technology, and that's absolutely brilliant. Let us help you. And if we could just, before you do it, if you could just let us know, and then we can just make sure that it'll all work correctly and you won't destroy the company with a major cyber attack or result in a huge amount of cost. And obviously some people said, great, we embrace your vision, wonderful, this is what we're doing, and we help them. And other people said, we're going to do what we want anyway. And predictably, that does result in extra cost, extra effort. And I estimate probably 40% of the total IT spend in the business is controlled outside of IT budgets. It's controlled in business units. And I'm fine with that. I've said throughout, I'm fine with that. I offered all the business units the opportunity to have absolute control of all the budget at the beginning, and they said we don't want it, because with it comes responsibility.
Yeah.
And
indeed.
the way in the last year and a half, we have introduced the absolute control on anything, and therefore solve the problem of people are doing stuff without us knowing, is one word, and that word is Zscaler. And with Zscaler, the minute somebody's doing something that is not in the range of acceptability, they're not doing it anymore because they can't. And they then have to come and ask, and we say either, well, actually, that isn't acceptable, and we didn't know you're doing that, and no, you can't have it. Or we say, okay, if you want to do that, just sign this disclaimer, and you got the monkey. So if it goes wrong, you got the monkey on this one. And we actually think the risk in that area is quite low, but just to be absolutely certain, you take accountability for it. And it's changed the thinking of people away from I can do what I want, haha, to a situation where I have to take physical accountability. But for me, tools like Zscaler and others available, that to me is like you control it in a nice way. But as soon as you say shadow IT is bad, people start vilifying it. And actually, we want to encourage it. We want to create this digital society.
Absolutely. All right. Well, that's two people who found it. Dave, are you a third?
Well, shadow IT, it's been around since the introduction of personal computers. It's been here for decades. So, I think over those decades and the advances in technology has seen a rise in how shadow IT is seen. And if you think about actually the use of SaaS, and Mike touched on that before, where people can just go and get the technologies, the consumerization of IT that has really caused this proliferation of shadow IT to occur. Now, rather than try to Ed's point, rather than try to eradicate it, and I think probably 20 years ago, that's the sort of thing I was involved in, and you're trying to think it was a bad thing. I actually think like Ed says, it should be embraced, but it should be embraced as a partnership model. Otherwise, you're definitely running the risk of that King Canute syndrome in trying to stop the tide. It's much better to embrave it and be part of that wave than trying to put an end to it. Really, I think, in my opinion, this is what's created the need for more digital teams and more digital practice teams that we see. And I think that's where that we can really thrive from a technology perspective if we work in partnership with the various different groups across organizations. And IT is a key component of that, and I'm sure we'll come on to the skills that everyone brings to the table. But I think that for me is shadow IT shouldn't be seen as a bad thing, as you say, and I don't even use those words shadow IT anymore. It's just it's technology, and there's lots of different groups involved with technology across an organization.
Okay, brilliant, thanks. Back to you then, Mike, because you started finding this, and you're finding more and more of it in your organization. What do you think about the guy's comments there? And do you see something like Zscaler, if you haven't got it, as other technologies are available, of course, but yes.
but that's exactly to Ed's point. We've put in Zscaler, and now we can see everything, and we can control it by policy. So I think where it starts to flick now, and this is the bit I kind of find really interesting about this stuff, is the mentality used to be just block everything. You can just block everything now, but you can block and have a conversation as to why. And I think what I'm starting to find with the staff is where we've done, I would say, bigger technology projects like 365 and things like that. For some reason, staff haven't understood the full capabilities, so therefore they still go to Dropbox instead of being able to just do it in OneDrive. So it's a change management failure that has led to a professionalization of shadow IT, because we haven't explained properly how you can deal with this, how you can do the things you want to do with the products we've given you. Because the training budget isn't there, the budget is there to buy the products, not to do the development, the rollout, the education, all of that really cool stuff that needs to happen so that they don't go and do something silly like Dropbox or Google Drive or Amazon S3 buckets.
And Ed, so it sounds like it's an education and communication issue as much as anything else, you know, and it sounds as though you're a long way down that path or further down that path. Are you finding that easy thing to do to change mindset, as you said earlier on?
Well, I mean, the advantage with the tooling of Zscaler is you stop it anyway. So therefore, if it isn't acceptable, you're not going to do it. I mean, we have had people argue a case for instance, Dropbox, and the argument was quite a simple one. It was HMRC said if we want to post our tax data, we have to put it in Dropbox. And I go, well, you know, HMRC kind of control tax, so I don't have a lot of choice for that one. So I'm fine for you to use that if they went that you use OneDrive. So, you know, that's approved on a limited pipe. I mean, we did a mass block on all AI to prevent anybody leaking company data away. We then said, if you've got a use case, give us a use case. I've now got 268 individual use cases for AI, all of which we've approved. But we've controlled it, so nothing got out. I think the bit for me, and I was discussing with some colleagues earlier, just behind me, is despite the fact we have probably a higher preponderance of Generation Z or Z, if you're American, people than many other organisations because of the nature of the business. You tend to find there are very few people who seem to be that technology literate. And actually, I'm wondering to what extent this is actually failures going back as far as the education system, where people are not learning enough about the Microsoft stuff, for instance, which Microsoft seem to let schools have for an absolute song, where everyone is getting lessons on it, but they don't seem to be learning things. And I was having an interesting conversation with the sort of tech teacher at school a while back, and I said, so have you started introducing them to Copilot and AI? He goes, what's that? I said, that's the problem.
Yes, no, absolutely. And I think it does go right back into the education system. I think you're quite right. Okay, just to move the topic on a little bit, Dave. So getting control of people buying their own technology, you know, services, systems, etc. That's one thing. But have you come across IT departments building up, IT roles building up within business areas within your company?
Well, I think the IT, you know, the team has a certain type of level of skills and resources within that group, and I think, you know, no one's got an IT group or a technology team that has got all the skills necessary that an organization needs. And I think, you know, that's why you need to embrace technology across the whole of the organization. And you know, yes, there are some learning and education areas that we need to address, and I think, you know, we've just made some good examples there that Ed was talking about, and you know, from an education perspective. But I think, you know, one of the things that you know, IT is very good at is helping to provide the compliance level of to an organization to help manage data, and data and the cybersecurity piece and the risks around that is what we're the custodians of making that happen. Now I see IT becoming is more of an enabler for those other areas, those other subject matter experts across your organization. And we've got some, you know, really clever, you know, people within our businesses, and helping them to really enhance their processes, their techniques, and using technology to become more efficient, but using these technologies in the right way. You know, we touched on the topic of AI there, which is, you know, everyone's talking about that at the moment, but very rightly so, you've got to be very careful in terms of where, you know, how you're using AI, how you need to control that data, what that means from a compliance perspective, you know, data residency, all these other things you've got to take into consideration. And I think that is where IT is really driving the value within an organization to keep that secure.
Okay, no, that makes sense. Thank you. In fact, Ed and I did a whole piece on AI just recently, Ed, didn't we? which is available online if anybody's interested in that. But back to you, Mike. You know, obviously you've got to a stage now which is better than you were, by the sounds of it, a year or 18 months ago. You're moving that forward. What's the next step for you?
I don't know, but I think I'm intrigued by Ed's what he's done with the AI one, because that's my concern now, because I've gone down the block route just because we were losing 50, 60 pieces of information a week. But I like the block and the talk. I think maybe that's what I call it, block and talk, because it's then how you get that use case, but then deliver a safer version of an AI as you can. Because I can't have medical, you know, stuff going into something that could end up in a server in God knows where. But could I do something in my own secure space? Yes, I possibly could, but I need the people to give me that information and that use case, because I am conflicted in this area, because the cyber part of me goes block everything, and the tech part of me goes, but these are the innovators of the future. They're going to drive where we all move to, and it's like a devil and an angel's shoulder type situation where I'm constantly having that argument.
But that's where we can put those sort of guardrails in place for people, so that they can use the technology, but in a safe and secure way. And
I think because the people are the innovators and they're out there, they don't really care about the compliance side, do they? It's just like, oh, just let me do this. This is, you know, I can ask it a question and it's going to give me an answer, or I can upload something into it and not worry about the consequences. And then it's when you find those consequences and you have to peel it all back that the nightmares start. And I think, you know, AI is good, but it's kind of, especially co-pilots, they're kind of like that grad student you get straight out of university. They're full of ideas, but they've got no practical skills yet. And this is what this feels like at the minute. It's got the ideas, but it's got no practical skills, and it doesn't care about any compliance or any ethics or anything. And we just feel like we're all playing catch up with it at the minute.
So with the angel and devil, you're slightly on the side of the angels, I think, at the moment.
I don't know. I flick between because I can see the value it can give.
Yeah.
But the risks are just.
Yeah. No, I can understand. So Ed, I bet you're a little devil, aren't you? What's your view on that?
Well, I mean, we started off by saying no to everything. We've then gradually allowed use of Copilot in certain circumstances. Because it's Copilot, the security system only allows the individual to access what the individual has within their existing security environment and within the Active Directory framework. So I've got access to a lot of stuff. So when I ask Copilot to do something, it can access a lot of things. When he asks Copilot to do it, he's only got access to that bit and it doesn't share it out. We're then developing other things with Azure AI services. We're now looking at doing something with SnapLogic as well, where the restriction of the data is I can take data from the market, I can take data from the data sources we choose to give it for this particular task. It can process it using the wider intelligence. It doesn't share it back the other way. So I think I've laid off the risk, and I've got fair use policies published. So if anybody went outside of the boundaries, hey, well, you did it. We train people. We're getting 144 to 200 times return on investment from the Copilot that we've done, and we built the Power App, and we get people to give us the data every week. Power App hunts you down going, what did you use it for? How much did you save? How much profit have you added? And it's entered the lexicon of the business now to say, I look at reports and other people do continually, who on this Power BI dashboard is the person delivering the most value with AI. Plaudits, you get the bottle of champagne a week or whatever. Not every week, I should add, just periodically. And it introduces a degree of gamification. to it. And I guess what we're starting to move into now is this concept of shadow AI instead of just pure shadow IT. So we've applied the same basic technique, we've used the same control tools, we've then given people the ability to use it safely. And the number of occasions we now get somebody going, I'm trying to get to this and it won't let me, as diminished to zero, because we've given people as much as they probably need. And we think probably over 80% of what we do as a business, we can do with Copilot. The remaining 20% are specialist areas, and we're going to build it with or embed it in another application.
Yeah. No, that's good.
I think if you think about the Copilot and where we're going with that, I think that's going to become very commoditized. At the moment, it's additional subscriptions that you've got to pay for. You've got to think about does everyone in your organization need access to it? Are they getting value from that? What's the return on investment? But actually, if you think about where that technology is going, where it's going to be, it is going to become 5 years or so, maybe even less, it's going to become very commoditized. It's just going to be what we do. It's just going to be built into everything we've got. If you think about remember when the internet was sort of taking off, and you just had to buy a copy of Netscape and stuff like that, and who's got access to the internet? So I think it's probably going to go along the same sort of track, where it will just be ubiquitous around everything that we do. And yeah, that's the sort of where it's going now. It's just all the early, well, the wide scale early adopters are happening now, which is an exciting time.
Yeah, and what I think is interesting though is as you start to get more, better use of our data, better improvement of our processes, sort of parallel operations to what we did before, expansion into new markets, other alliances, and so on. To what extent are we not substituting, or we are substituting people with the technology? And we now start to see situations where say, well, actually, we used to have 10 people doing that, and only now need 4 people doing that, because actually that can cover the rest of it. And I guess like we've tried to do with ERP and CRM in the past, we're trying to create standardized processes. We're now probably better able to create standardized processes faster, because it's faster and easier for people to do, and we need less people. So actually what you're seeing, and obviously we track this more closely than most in staffing and recruitment, you're starting to see different types of jobs appearing, different types of roles, other roles disappearing, and other roles predicted to disappear as they have completely, and as indeed they have been doing over 30 odd years. And instead you go, well, actually, the labour market's still expanding. So all this stuff about it's going to replace all jobs, Elon Musk, I disagree. What it's doing, it's creating different jobs.
Absolutely.
So actually, I think all of us will be fine till retirement, which is probably a good thing. I'm pretty sure the next generation will be fine, because all we're doing, we're freeing up more time to do more important things rather than doing the mundane slower.
Absolutely. Well, this is what the question always comes up. Will AI take over my job? And the AI won't take over your job, but people with AI skills will take over jobs of people who don't have AI skills. That's I think that's the direction where it's in which that's going. And as you say, you're freeing up people to actually do more valuable work. We don't know, many, graduates who start with the organization, and, their aim is to do, highly repetitive, mundane tasks, day in, day out, that they don't want to be doing that sort of thing. So, where we can use technology to help, and AI is only part of that. And AI, as we all know, gets used for a whole raft of things. But if you think actually of automation generally driving efficiency, that isn't necessarily AI. Automation's been around a long time, but using that type of technology is actually helping us to be more efficient and using our resources in a smarter way.
Yeah, no, that's perfectly understandable. Agree with all of that. I'm going to kind of call an end to the conversation shortly, but Mike, any last thoughts from you, having listened to this and participated? I started with you, I should end with you, sir.
I think it's been fascinating. I think I love what Ed has done. I think it's fantastic, and Dave's made some really cool points. you're both private sector organisations, aren't you? So you've not probably got the similar challenges that I have. And I love how you said about people's jobs changing. So one of the things we've started to think about, and you can think I'm completely crazy here, so please just bear with me. As we now do investment cases this next year for money and things, and we can't get people because people are out of our price range, we're going to have to start thinking about business cases being X people and X co-pilots and getting the funding for them that way. And then that brings in a whole set of different challenges with people in HR and people in unions who will see this as technology taking over jobs. But I can take heart in what you said, that it gives people a better job, a different job, a more purposeful job. And I think that's what I'll take from this and have to build into our cases going forward.
That's brilliant.
So it's been really useful, Greg.
Thank you, and a great place for us to end. So my thanks to all three of you, to everybody listening to this after we've kind of gone back to our day jobs. I hope that it's been as useful as certainly I've found it as well. I've learned a lot today. So thank you for listening. Thank you to everybody for taking part, and we'll be back soon with another instalment.